Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about why a lot of people have this idea that they're never going to have fun again without their drug of choice. Usually it's meth, but it could be any drug. And to understand that, we have to understand a couple of ways our body works. First off, I'm going to throw the term out there: homeostasis. Homeostasis is where our bodies like to be at rest within the working system. Give you, for instance, when I got COVID, yes, I did get COVID. I had a temperature of 102. Ran it for 12 days, off and on. And that's not where my body liked to be at rest. My body likes to be at rest at 97.3. But I had COVID, so it was elevated. My temperature was elevated. And then it came back down. Body said, nope, still has COVID, go back up. And pretty soon, after 12 days, it realized that COVID was no longer in my system, and my body resumed homeostasis at 97.3. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Now, as far as homeostasis goes, the second concept is a hedonic set point. Hedonic, hedonism means pleasure. Set point means where our bodies usually are at in relationship to amount of dopamine normally in our system. So when we start using certain drugs and alcohol, dopamine's being released at a higher it's being caught in the synaptic cleft, and it's being held there because the transporters aren't working. So the hedonic set point is a place where our bodies like to be, with a natural amount of dopamine still in our system. Dopamine producers are located in the ventral tegmental area and the hypothalamus parts of the brain. And when they're working together, I think you're going to have somewhere around, from what I've read, around 50 units of dopamine in your system at any one time. So to understand how substances impact this, we need to look at maybe to visualize what the baseline really looks like. So right here, I know you can't see everything, but it's probably good enough. I have a line. That line is the hedonic set point. It's our baseline. And let's say it's right around 50. Some people say it's around 100. It doesn't really matter, that number, but that's where it is. If we're below the baseline, we're going to feel a little bit depressed. If we're above the baseline, it means that we're enjoying pleasurable things. So when it comes to this baseline, basically anything that is providing us pleasure is pumping up the dopamine level. Okay, so let's just take an average Saturday morning for me. I wake up, I smell some biscuits and gravy and bacon and eggs and coffee cooking, and just the smell is going to elevate my dopamine level a little bit. And then I go eat it, and it does taste pretty good. I may get an extra 50 units of dopamine. I'm above the baseline, I'm having a good time. And then after I eat, I come back to the baseline. My wife says, hey, listen, we gotta mow the yard. My name is not Hank Hill. I do not enjoy mowing the yard very much. So now when I'm kind of flatlining because no dopamine's being released as I'm cutting that grass, it's not fun for me. But I'm not below the baseline either. So I return to the baseline. That's very important to remember. Then after we cut the grass, my wife may say, hey, listen, why don't we go watch a movie? Okay, sounds like fun. Let's go to the theater. When we go to the theater, all of a sudden I'm going to, unless it's a chick flick, no, I'm teasing on that one. We're watching an action adventure, maybe Rocky 13. Rocky gets a wheelchair, and I'm enjoying the music, I'm enjoying the movie, I'm enjoying the smell of the popcorn and the chairs and the sticky floors and all that good stuff. And dopamine's being released because I'm enjoying it. When the movie's over with, I come back to the baseline and I resume, just like my body temperature when I no longer had COVID came back to 97.3. This is critically important to remember. As the day progresses, I'm going to have some fluctuations, but always coming back to the baseline. When you start using, let's say, methamphetamine, Methamphetamine is it's the granddaddy of them all at really messing up the dopamine levels in our system. And instead of having a little rise of 50, 100, 150 or something like that, we now have a spike that goes all the way up to around 1,250, give or take which website you're looking at. And that's significant. And then when the person starts to crash, they don't crash at the baseline, they go slightly below the baseline. So they take another, they use again. So when they use for a second time, now because they started a little lower, they still get the same 1,250, but they don't get quite as high. And pretty soon, if they do this long enough, the body pretty much gives up on homeostasis. When the body gives up on homeostasis, something happens. It resorts to what's called allostasis. And when that happens, we have artificially moved the baseline from around here all the way up to here. Now the only thing that can give us pleasure is the drug itself, because cooking, food, movies, sex, that's never going to get up here. So now we have to use our drug of choice just to feel normal. And when people come into treatment and we take that away from them, we expect to see people just kind of flatline with their pleasure. There is no pleasure that they're receiving whatsoever. But if they give it enough time, give it a week or two, this artificially raised baseline will slowly start to lower itself back down. And eventually, homeostasis is once again achieved. Okay, so that's the good news. It can get there. Too many people are not willing to give it the time. So they go back out and they start using, and it's just a vicious cycle. And this is important to understand. Even alcohol, when we start drinking, we're having spurts of alcohol going up maybe 350, 450 units of dopamine being released in the brain. But it's important to understand that our body doesn't like that. So there's a neuropeptide called CRF. It's like I said, neuropeptide that the body releases. It's a stress hormone, and it pushes that back down. And pretty soon, if you continue to drink all the time or use all the time, there's a steady output of CRF that constantly pushes that down. So that means you're going to have to drink more to get the same effect. Tolerance is being built. So now we have gone from maybe a 6-pack to a 12-pack to an 18-pack to a 30-pack. Now we're doing a pint, and now we're doing a pint and an 18-pack or something, and it literally gets out of control very, very, very quickly. The only way to stop this and return back to homeostasis is to stop the use of these substances and give your brain the time it needs to heal. I've been asked, why do I feel like this? Well, this is it. And when I talk to my clients about this, they seem to understand, and they seem to be a little bit more willing to give their bodies the time it needs to re-regulate itself. I hope this has been helpful. Talk to you again. Bye.